viewers and subscribers, Gary from Platform 1. Glad you could join me again. Hey, here I am wearing the new Surfline t-shirt. Just big shout out to Justin. Thanks for this, mate. Appreciate it. As part of your operating crew. Hey, in the last video I mentioned we're going to go into constructing the awning for tropical pallets, and with that also we're going to construct the brick perimeter wall around the structure as well, around the building. So that's going to take up a little bit of this video. I will add that if this video during the editing process goes on a little bit too long, I may just do the roof and the wall, and we'll put painting and weathering into part 4, unfortunately. It would be nice to put all this into one video, but you know, I like to keep my videos reasonably short. You know, over half an hour they do tend to get a little bit long-winded, so let's see how we go. Anyway, you can probably see a little bit of orange behind me over my shoulder here. So that's the semi-finished model. I'll say semi-finished because it's not bed into the layout, but that's one thing I'm not going to include in this series, is about bedding the model into the layout. Because if you've built an Atlas kit or Waller's kit, you know, classics, whatever, some of those timber kits and all that, you pretty much know how to bed a model into the scene. So let's get on with the awning construction. Cheers, Gary. Okay, so we've got our cardboard template here, which I've transferred over to, well, it's actually 2 pieces of cut down evergreen styrene number 4526 corrugated sheet. You can see the difference there. Where I've joined the 2 pieces together, trimmed it all up so it is exactly the same size as a template. Now on the bottom side, what I've done is glued on some number 131, 0.75 by 0.75 or 30 thou by 30 thou square styrene strip. That's product, as I said, product number 131. And basically we've got the outer edges done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inner ribs. So that's just got to be divided up equally. I've come 4 feet in from the ends and 3.5 feet in between every other rib. Now the best way to get the strip on is to, just going to trim these down so I can reuse this, is to use your steel rule. Place it against the mark line that you have. So you don't put the rule directly on the predetermined mark. Just bring it back about 1 millimetre and take your glue and run a bead through. There we have it. Now those offcuts that I had from the previous side, just going to bring in and press up against the edge of the rule. Leave a little bit of overhang on the ends. That won't really matter because we can trim that off when we go to fit the other sections. Oh, I'm just a little bit off there. And there we go. Peel up your rule, take it away, and you'll have nice straight ribs on the underside of the roof. Now, don't forget, you're doing this to the underside, not to the top. After that, what we're going to do is create the brackets that sit underneath the roof here. Now, okay, to create these roof supports here with all this bracing in there, we're going to use the 30 thou by 30 thou or 0.75 square styrene strip, and we're going to build this not on the roof sections here, but 2 separate pieces altogether. Now I say 2 because we only want to put the detail on the very ends. The brackets in the middle here will be solid styrene sheet. Why? Because we want to keep the detail there. You won't see the detail under there. Bit of a cheat there, but who's going to see it? You know it's going to be there, but you know, people who are going to come over and look at your layout or run your layout, they won't notice. So it's the fall here, or between the bottom beam and the top beam, is 2 feet. So we can actually cut a 2 feet piece of styrene strip to go in between here and make our triangle, then glue these in accordingly into what we'll call the wedge. So let's get on with that. You can draw this up as a small template, just a line drawing on a piece of paper, and glue everything in from there. That's probably the easiest way to go if you're new to doing something like this. Otherwise, build it using your steel rule and your strip. Put your first piece down, glue your 2 foot section there, and make the wedge shape first, and then go through and put these verticals in. Okay, you can see I've constructed 2 brackets here, albeit without the diagonal bracing. Now, the easiest way to do this is to start off with a flat piece, which is over the length of the width of your roof here. I would glue a 2 foot section onto the very ends, as I've done here, and then the diagonal running down. It's best to use a steel rule as a base to keep everything nice and square. Tack this one on, let it go off, then tack the top rail on and just run it down, because your top rails is the length of the end of your roof sections. So you can see there, that's 16 feet, and the other one is the 23.5 feet. Now, once all that's set, 1, 2, 3 corners, just measure. Now I've done 3 feet gaps in between, so 3 feet from the very end to the inside edge of the next upright. Measure that, glue it in. Let that set, 3 feet again, measure the next one, glue it in, and so forth. And that's the easiest way to construct these small roofing brackets. Okay, it's been about 45 minutes to the hour since I last showed putting these vertical supports into the roof, and now I have the diagonal braces in. You may be wondering why on the 2 braces they have the diagonal supports running in the wrong direction or opposite to each other. That's because these type of roofs actually, with the weight of it on here and on here, are actually forcing down, which puts pressure on the diagonal bracing, holding it in against the wall. So they actually give it strength. If they were the other way around, you'd lose all the integral strength of these roof supports. What we'll do next, we're going to measure up underneath the roof where the other support's going to be, and like I said before, they're just going to be solid styrene sheet. Okay, the next stage in putting the awning together is to put in the other 3 internal roof supports. Now what I've done, this is 60 foot long, so I've gone 15 feet, 15 feet, 15 feet, and drawn a line using a square. Matter of fact, I just used the Lego square just to draw the lines through. Now I've measured that with the scale rule, and what we have here is, which I've transferred onto the cardboard template, is 21.25 feet, 19.75 feet, and 18.25 feet. What we do know is, after measuring our brackets here, the ends here are 2.5 feet, which is here, and the very tip is just under 6 inches. You'd probably say 5 inches in HO scale. So there will be a little bit of give with these in there. Okay, what we're going to draw up here is the roof support, or one of the internal support. I'm going to do the 18 feet quarter inch roof support. So what I've drawn here is one line across here, which is 2.5 feet down from the edge of the styrene. Above that, we draw another line in, which is just under 6 inches. So we'll say 5 inches in HO scale. So measure out your 6 inch, just mark it under the 6 inch on either side, draw another line. Take your steel rule place 0 up at the end and come down to that top line till you get to the 18.25 mark, and then draw your line in. Now where it comes into the top line, we draw a vertical line in, as you can see here, and that piece there plus that little drop down and that line through there will be your cut lines for the support on here. As you can see, I've already done 1 and 2 here, and what I have done is taken a small strip of styrene and angled it, a little triangle fillet, just to put in at the very ends, there and there, to support the whole thing upright, so it's nice and square. Now, as for cutting this, if you remember before, I mentioned in part 1, you just scribe the lines in, through there and through there, and then you snap. Run along and just snap it, and that's it. Then we'll take the bottom piece out, we've scribed that. And if you find it doesn't quite come right down here, we can run the scalpel through. Again, just deepen it. And there we have it. Now we've got our mark down here where we need to trim it up. And that is there. So there's our next support. What we'll do, we'll just run that across the sanding block. Just a quick sand up. And we will test fit. Now, while it's here like this, just put a couple of arrows on to mark which side the roof is. Now with the roof, we're going to trial this, make sure it's the correct length, and that is fine. Now to get that nice and square, what we will do is take our square, and we're going to glue that in up against the rule into there. Okay, you can see that we've got our internal supports already glued into place with the little fillets or gussets to keep that all nice and square. Now I've also attached the end detailed awning supports, and what I've done there is place that up against the block, which is my sanding block, and touch the corners down here with a little bit of CA. Once that is set, I'd use normal styrene cement and just went on these ribs and tack them in. Now the CA was going to keep that nice and fairly square, but as you're tacking in with the styrene cement, still hold it against the block there like so, and get that attached. Once that's done, just roll the roof around and do the opposite end exactly how we done the wider end. The next job to do is to build the post and the wall at the front of the structure. Here's a photo of it. Now to guess what our height will be from the roof down to ground level, we've already made marks on our model here, and we've got the top roof line and we've got the lower bracket line. So that lower bracket line there, from there to there, will be the length of our post. And for the post, I'm going to use 1mm square or 40 thou square styrene strip. Now this structure is going to be built separately using the measurements off here, and the posts are going to be part of the wall itself that stands in front of the building. That wall is going to be like a bruise block, Besser block, or as they say in America, cinder block construction. Let's get on with that. So from going by our measurements on the building, I have cut 5 posts out of number 142 evergreen styrene, 1mm by 1mm or 40 thou by 40 thou strip. The way we're going to put this together is then take some evergreen styrene sheet, 1mm thick, and cut sections of the wall. Now these sections of the wall are the same distance between the supports under the roof. And what I mean by that is this here. So these have been measured out, and I've got about 14 3/4 feet on each one of these sections here. So what we've done is transferred those measurements over to some styrene, and I've cut 4 sections of wall which will sit in between the posts. These are going to be arranged like this. And having this cut square means that we know these posts are going to be vertical. Now to get them square on the bottom, what we're going to do is use our steel rule, push them up together, bring them in, and then tack them together. Now on the prototype the wall does extend further here. I've got more styrene here that I can actually glue onto the ends. Might even use some starter pieces like this. And then once this is all set, here we have some Slater's brick sheet. Now it's slightly bigger than your standard HO scale sheet, and that will be laid over the top. Now we're going to measure this up so it comes to the top of the wall, not so much the bottom of the wall, because that can be hidden with scenery. Let's get this all glued up. So I've secured the post to the wall sections, and as you can see here, it lines up perfectly with the roof. Now one thing I've done on the roof is taken another strip of 1mm square styrene 40 thou, number 142, and glued it in to the bottom of the roof supports here. Hopefully you'll see that when I bring that around like so. Now when this all goes together, these will be attached onto here. What I'll just throw in here now is, if you only wish to build the wall to the awning length, that's fine. Personally, for my layout, I have another 60 feet of wall coming off here on the right hand side, then it kicks back towards the front of the factory. On the left hand side, I've got another 75 feet of wall which kicks back to a set of gates. Now I will be putting the brick sheeting onto here, and I'll be continuing the wall further on. Now you can admit that, you can put the brick sheet in yourself, or you can texture this like concrete. I prefer the brick sheet because it does look like the breeze block, Besser block / cinder block material we used on the wall of the prototype. As you can see, I've clad the whole wall, and this here is the length of the wall that I'll be building, whereas before we're only focusing on the area between my 2 fingers here where the awning is. So what I've done is use the 1mm styrene which I showed before in between the posts, and just extended sections off each end. As you can see here, there's a slight kink in the wall that I put in as per the prototype. Once everything's been glued on, the top had to be capped off. So basically what it was taking a thin strip of the sheet, the brick sheet, and it's only a single brick width, and gluing it right across the top, cutting these little sections out, dropping it in and so forth. So that's pretty much the wall complete, done, apart from adding the awning on top. And what we'll do, we'll go put it out on the layout, we'll go have a look how it looks. So here we have the wall set up temporarily in its position with the posts lined up with the building in the background. Now, okay, we'll just put this canopy on top so you can see what it will look like once it's all fitted into place. So that'll go onto there, and it'll just take a little bit of fettling to get those posts to line up correctly underneath each one of the canopy supports there. And you can see them through here, here, and the ends of course. So that one needs to come across a little bit, and once this is on there, I think we're pretty much close to it. Now next thing is we're going to do some painting, and we're actually going to paint the structure first, paint the roof, and then put the roof canopy on the actual building itself. So guys, there we have it. That's part 3. As I mentioned in the intro, I was thinking about breaking this down to a 4-part series, which I'm going to have to do. You've just witnessed 20 minutes of video there, so I thought that's pretty much long enough to get your head around what we've just done. So part 4 will be coming very, very shortly. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go back in there and start editing that one now. I've just had to cut what I was doing, film this little segment, throw it into the end, and I'll be back with part 4. So stay tuned. That should be out within, I'll say within 24 hours anyway, and I promise you that. Anyway, you know what I'm going to say next. Take care, stay safe, and keep on modelling. Cheers, Harry.